I had been talking to Jake online for 3 months. Every day we sent messages, shared funny videos, and talked about life. He was funny, kind, and loved the same things I did: movies, music, and cheese pizza. Today was the big day. We were finally going to meet in person. I felt nervous but excited. What if he didn't like me? What if I said something silly? But deep down, I knew we had a great connection. I put on my favorite dress, did my hair, and took a deep breath. This will be fun, I told myself. Then I left home. The plan was simple: dinner at an Italian restaurant and then a walk in the park. It was supposed to be perfect, but things started to go wrong. On my way to the restaurant, I got a message from Jake. "Jake, the restaurant is closed. Let's go to a cafe instead." I smiled. "No problem. I love cafes," I replied. A little change wasn't a big deal. When I arrived at the cafe, I looked around. The place was cute, with warm lights and soft music, but Jake wasn't there. I checked my phone. No new messages. Maybe he was late? I waited 5 minutes, then 10, then 15. I started to feel nervous. Did he change his mind? Was I at the right place? I looked at the cafe sign. Oh no, I was at the wrong cafe. I quickly called Jake. "Jake, I'm here, but I think I'm at the wrong cafe." He laughed. "Send me your location. I'll come to you." I sent him my location and smiled. Maybe the date would still be perfect. But just as I stepped outside, the first raindrop hit my nose, then another, and suddenly, boom! Heavy rain poured from the sky. I didn't have an umbrella, so I ran back under the cafe's small roof. The wind blew, and the rain got even stronger. My hair was already wet. Then, through the rain, I saw someone running toward me. Jake! He was already wet, but he smiled. "This date is an adventure." I laughed. "This date is a disaster." Jake took off his jacket and held it over my head. "Come on, let's find a dry place." We ran together to a small market across the street. The bell on the door rang as we entered. Inside, it was warm and dry. I looked at Jake. His hair was dripping. His shirt was sticking to his body. I probably looked the same. We both started laughing. "Well, this is not what I expected," I said. Jake shook his head. "Me neither." He walked to the counter and grabbed 2 hot chocolates. "It's not an Italian dinner, but I hope it's good." I looked around and grabbed a pack of cookies. Now we have a picnic in the market. We found a small bench near the candy aisle. People walked past us, but we didn't care. We talked for hours about our favorite childhood memories, about embarrassing moments, about our biggest dreams. The rain continued outside, but I didn't even notice anymore. Jake opened his hot chocolate and took a sip. "Wow, this is really good," he said, smiling. I took a sip of mine. The warmth spread through my hands and chest. Yeah, this is better than I expected. We sat on the small bench, listening to the soft music playing in the store. The smell of fresh bread filled the air, mixing with the chocolate in our cups. Jake pointed at the cookies in my hand. "Are you going to share those, or are you keeping them all to yourself?" I laughed and opened the pack. "Here, take one. But just one," I joked, pretending to be serious. Jake took a cookie and bit into it. "Okay, I have to be honest. I think this is better than an Italian dinner." I raised an eyebrow. "Better than pasta?" He nodded. "Yes. Right now, in this moment, sitting in a market, drinking hot chocolate and eating cookies with you. It's better." I felt my cheeks get warm. We started talking about everything. Jake told me about the time he got lost in his own neighborhood when he was a kid. I walked in circles for 20 minutes before I realized I was just 2 streets away from my house. I laughed so hard I almost spilled my drink. That's amazing. I wish I had seen that. I told him about my most embarrassing moment. One time I tripped in the middle of a shopping mall, in front of at least 50 people. And guess what? I wasn't even walking. I was just standing still. Jake clapped his hands, laughing. Wow, that's impressive. We kept talking, telling funny stories, sharing secrets, and learning about each other. The rain outside no longer mattered. The night didn't feel cold anymore. Jake looked at the candy aisle next to us. Hey, let's play a game. Jake looked at the candy aisle next to us. Hey, let's play a game. I tilted my head. What kind of game? He pointed at the shelves full of colorful candies and chocolates. We each pick one thing for the other person to try, but it has to be something they have never eaten before. I smiled. That sounds fun. Jake walked around, searching carefully. After a minute, he returned with a strange-looking candy. Here, try this. I looked at the package. It was a spicy chocolate bar. Spicy chocolate? Are you serious? Jake laughed. It might be terrible, or it might be amazing. You won't know until you try. I opened the package, took a small bite, and my eyes widened. The chocolate was sweet at first, but then fire. Oh no, it burns. Jake laughed harder. I can't believe you took such a big bite. I grabbed my hot chocolate and took a big sip to cool my tongue. Okay, my turn. I picked a pack of sour candies and handed it to him. Good luck. Jake opened the pack and put a candy in his mouth. A second later, his face changed. Oh wow, this is really, really sour. Now it was my turn to laugh. Revenge is sweet. Or should I say, sour? We kept playing, choosing weird snacks for each other. Some were good, some were terrible, but every bite was fun. After a while, Jake checked his phone. The rain stopped. I looked outside. The streets were wet, reflecting the city lights. The air smelled fresh. We threw away the empty packages and walked outside. Jake looked at me. So, was this a bad date? I smiled. It was the worst date and the best at the same time. Jake nodded. Let's plan another date. Maybe the next one will be perfect. I thought for a moment. Then I grinned. Or maybe it will be more fun if it's not. Jake smiled. I like the way you think. He walked me to my bus stop. We stood there for a moment looking at each other. Tonight was really fun, I said. Jake nodded. Yeah, it was. I'm glad we finally met. The bus arrived. I took a deep breath and stepped onto the first step. Then, I turned back and smiled at him one last time. See you soon, Jake. Jake grinned. See you soon, Emma. The doors closed, and as the bus drove away, I looked out the window. Jake was still standing there, waving at me. Maybe the date wasn't perfect, but maybe it was perfect in its own way.